they'll probably announce it and then probably start shipping shortly after that is usually about their timeline on Macs.
Yeah, but not an iMac. iMac is the last one that's going to get up there.
Right, but they usually announce the iMacs in about April or March or April.
Oh, okay. But then it won't be available till later in the year.
Probably quicker than that. Once they announce those, they're going to be in short order available, because that's what they've been doing with all the other products. There's not much turnaround time between announcement and shipping of them.
Yeah, right. Well, the thing that I also thought about, when the new one comes out, they usually have bugs in them, and I don't know if I'd want to buy it right away.
Matt?
Sure. Wait that much longer.
Okay, can I have everybody's attention?
Sure.
We're going to get started here.
Okay.
So let me do a couple things, and then we can continue on that discussion. So I want to welcome everybody to the digital forum. It's great. We've got 52 people. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I was curious to see how many we might get, being that it's Thanksgiving, so weekend. But so it's great to see everybody here. Again, anybody that would like to be on the panel, we do have a little bit more room. Just raise your Zoom hand, and we'll put you onto the panel. Otherwise, you can sit and listen. And ask questions. The big thing that we need from everybody is to ask questions. You got the Q&A down there. Ask your questions, and the panel will try to answer them. This is a little different format than what a lot of people are used to. It's not driven by me, it's driven by everybody else that can ask questions. So, and the first hour will be discussion. The second hour, as I posted, we're going to talk about the new On1 Photo Raw 2021 that just came out. I've been playing with it for the last week, and I'll show you how it works, and we can, do some questions on it, and we'll see what happens with it. It's an interesting program. I use it with Lightroom, but it can be a standalone one. So just for the attendees, we have the panelists here that are here to hopefully help answer questions, and we can interchange. You as attendees, again, like I said, need to ask questions and can watch. Also, this will be on YouTube. We are live on YouTube right now. We do have over 106 people signed up. So we will run out of room since our webinar can only hold 100 people total. So if everybody would show up at once, we'll have a full crowd. We can have 30 panelists, so that works out nice to help keep a discussion going. And today we got a good group of panelists going. And so let's get started. Let's get back to Kathy's question of the new Mac computers that are coming out, switching from Intel to the new M1 chip. I know I was telling everybody that get the Intel for now, because you don't know how the new M1 chip is going to work. My thinking is starting to change after I've heard so many good reviews about the 3 new computers. They brought out a MacBook Air, a MacBook Pro 13-inch, and then a Mac Mini. And they're all running very fast. They're running rings around the Intel computers, and they're coming in at a pretty low price. I'm been real tempted to get a 13-inch MacBook Pro just because it would run so much quicker than the Intel computer, even though it only has 16 gigabytes of RAM. But anybody else been looking at it or have any thoughts on the matter that are Apple people? Or anybody?
I've been looking at it, and it's
I don't want to wait till next summer because my computer is getting so old that there's a lot of things that I can't run on it anymore because it's too old and
Right.
it's running slower and slower and slower every day. So I figured I'm just going to order the Intel one and go with that.
Last, oops. Last year, I got the new iMac and it with the Intel. It depends upon what you want, what you're looking for. Are you looking for speed? Do you think, I've been using Mac since what, 1990, 91, so a long, long time. And I just bought the new iPad Pro because I want to start doing Photoshop, Lightroom, some of their other programs on that one, although this is my smaller iPad because I haven't figured out exactly how the newer, bigger one works a little bit. And I keep fighting this two-factor authentication process because I don't always have two devices with me to get that. So that's one thing I'm leery of. Everything seems to be coming with two-factor. My life is an open book. There's not much in my account. I don't care. But I've been using my iMac for Photoshop. And what I did though was I built I usually build my own on the Apple site. That way I can get the speed of the processor, the screen resolution, the amount of storage. And that's what I did with my, don't tell my husband, but I think I paid about $1,500 with accessories for my iPad Pro. And I'm slowly bringing him up to speed on what's happening. It's, oh yeah, I got the keyboard that went with it. Oh yeah, and the magnetic pencil, it just is going to help. So anyway, my 2 cents worth is I guess waiting is fine, but you can get a good trade-in on some of these things too until you find out a little bit more what happens, because if you trade in, if you buy one, you get a fairly decent trade-in price, especially on a newer one, if you don't want to wait. And I think if your computer is really not being able to run some of the newer programs, because Adobe is doing so much with, I don't mean to take up a lot of time, but Adobe is doing so much with their artificial intelligence that it's almost unbelievably scary about how things can be worked and what can be done. So that's it for me right now.
Is biggest difference is just the speed, or is there other things that are different between the Intel and the older or the newer versions?
Yeah, well, this new chip is a very interesting design in that the chip has the RAM built in, the GPU, RAM, and processor all built in to one big chip. So everything runs quite a bit faster, 4 to 6 times faster than an Intel chip, and at a lower cost. And the other great part is with the portable computers, the battery life has been doubled and tripled. You can now go something like 10 or 12 hours with the MacBook Pro portable. And supposedly the speed is just amazing with it. Now, and this is just the first version of the chip. I think next year when we see the iMacs, we're going to see faster chips and more RAM built in. And since the RAM is all built into this one chip, it can work so much quicker.
Yeah, they're talking going from already from 8 core to a 12 core. One of the other big things with the M1 chip that they have now is that they've opened it up now that you can run your iOS apps on the Mac as well. So that's going to be a huge boon for, when you buy apps, you'll be able to run them on your Mac instead of just on your iPad or your phone. So
like what kind of iOS apps?
Pretty much all of them. You're supposed to be able to run natively on the new M1 chip processors. So if you have a particular app on your iPad that you really like, you'll be able to run that app on your laptop or your new Mac when they get to the M1s and the Macs. So
And it
that'll
wouldn't be available otherwise?
Right. Otherwise, yeah, iPad apps and iPhone apps wouldn't run on a Apple computer. They only
today
run
on the Intel chips,
today.
right?
But
Right.
with this new chip, you'll be able to run iPad and iPhone apps. There aren't a lot of them, I think, that you may want to run, but it's a possibility. And
Has Adobe made a statement about whether or not they're supporting Photoshop and their products under this new chip? Because if you go to it, you might actually find you have some trouble running some of the apps.
No, Adobe is one of the first major companies that have jumped on board to run on this M1 chip. So that one is not a problem at all. Now, I do have a bunch of programs that aren't right now going to run on the new operating system which is going to be called Big Sur, which actually just came out. And so I'm not upgrading my operating system, and that's what the new chip is running. And so you do have to watch to make sure that all the programs that you're using are going to want to be able to run on this new chipset and the new operating system. Tony.
I think,
Oh, you're muted, Tony.
Okay. Can I do quick? Just
Sure, go ahead, Audrey.
Having had the experience of buying the old version just as the new version came out way back in the 90s, there's going to be an explosion of things available on the new chip that if you buy a new computer now with an Intel chip, you will just simply be not available to you. And that's something I think to keep in mind. If you're thinking about holding off to buy the new chip until maybe the second version or until it's proven good, that's fine. If you need to buy a new computer now and you buy a new Intel chip one and you suddenly realize you've got a basically obsolete old-fashioned computer, you might be
true.
Yeah, that could be the case. And I know Barry may get mad at me because I just told him, well, buy the Intel computer now because we don't know what the M1's going to be like. And now that the M1's out, I'm starting to switch my tune. So hopefully Barry's not going to shoot me because of my suggestion. But
I did buy a brand new one. It's about 3 months old. I'm very happy with it. But the reason I had to do that is my daughter's computer was extremely old. So I gave her my old one and I have the new one, and now I'm listening. But the thing about it, it had to be done. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is you do need to just, if you have to upgrade, you got to upgrade and you get what you can get. I mean, I have a 2020 MacBook Pro 16-inch, but I had to buy it because my other main computer started to give me problems. So I ended up buying a new one, and I'll still buy probably another one. Tony, you wanted to say something?
Well, I just wanted to mention, don't skimp on memory on any new computer, because if you skimp on memory and you're relying on a hard disk or whatever, your computer will run slower with a big program and you're beating up your hard drive. So try to get as much memory as you can built into the computer. And I know that's pricey, but it saves you in the long run for speed and possible hard drive failure, or it extends your hard drive. Not if, but when.
Yep. And and I recommend these days to buy all solid state hard drives, especially for your main computer, so that it runs the fastest. It's a little more expensive, but it's a lot more reliable for it.
I just want to mention, I know I'm new to the group, so I don't want to add too much, but I just bought the new 27-inch. Now, they came out with changes in their models in September. When I contacted Apple, they said, yeah, they'll support it for 10 years, at least with their operating system. So even if you go to the new, if they go to the new design, you're still good with their operating system for 10 years. At least that's what they were telling me. And then what I also, in the rumors, it was the new design on the iMac was going to be completely different in design somehow, was the rumor. I don't know if that's going to be true or not from the typical design they have now. So I just wanted to add a point. So yeah, I had to change because mine was 10 years old and it couldn't do much of anything with speed. So
Sure. No, that makes sense when you have to upgrade. And yeah, they're going to support the Intel processor for quite a few years. It's going to be 5 or 6 years before they make all the switch over to this new M1. And from what I heard, it sounds like the iMac one's not coming out to the second half of 2021, although you never know what's going to actually happen. So, Dreama?
Yeah, if you don't mind, can I change the subject a little bit? Because
Sure.
not everyone here is a Mac user. I have a Mac laptop and mostly use it. But I kind of wanted to, it's 6 of one. Believe me, I have both. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of another. But there's a question on the list that I'd kind of like to bring up. If that's okay with everyone to change the subject?
Sure. Go ahead.
The question is planning a winter trip to Utah. We'll see if it happens this January in 5 national parks. Suggestions for what to take that is not normal, unusual shots. And I would like to hear a discussion about that because right now I'm signed up for, last year they had a conference in Utah in March that they put off, and they're going to have it in April this year, if either virtually or live. So I'm going to Utah too. I've been through there. I lived in Utah for 6 months before I was a photographer. And I'm kind of interested too, because I'm planning on, with the conference I'm going to, the Outsiders Photography Conference, I'm hoping to go there a week early or a week after and look for places to shoot too. And if anyone has any information on that, I'd welcome a conversation on that.
Sure. Anybody got any suggestions or tips? I actually haven't been to Utah. Anybody?
There's a new monolith there that you can go try and hunt out and find.
Yeah, I was thinking about trying to find that one. They won't give information on where it is though.
Actually, there's already people who found it. I read that this morning.
Really?
There's guys. Yeah, they somehow triangulated the coordinates and have been out to visit it already. So
I'll have to try to Google that.
Sorry, I'm just checking the Q&A, which we got to get to soon here. Yeah, I don't know. When I travel to a place like that, it depends whether I'm flying or driving. For me, Ken and Brian know that wherever we go, we fill up a vehicle pretty full. And I take everything that I can think of when I drive. And I would certainly would rather drive to a place like that so that I could bring all the equipment, and I would certainly have wide angle lenses, telephoto lenses. I'd have a laptop computer so I could download my cards, plus multiple memory drives. I don't know how anybody else these days would be what you'd take to Utah. I mean, it would be the same as if I was going to Yellowstone or Colorado or any of those places. I'd have multiple cameras, multiple hard drives and lenses.
Multiple batteries.
Yeah, a lot of batteries.
I'd like to respond to shooting, where to shoot. Was there many, many years ago, but we just did the national park, and of course, you've got all the iconic spots. One thing that somebody told me was that there's a state park around there also, which is almost as good as the national park. Now, if you want some different shots, you might do a little bit of research ahead of time on the state park or parks, you know, in Utah around that area. So maybe find
What
something
state park
unusual.
is that? What area?
I don't
what
know the
area
name of it,
is
but it's right outside Zion. Or I'm sorry. So you're talking about, you're going to 5 different parks, right?
Not, that was what the question that the person was asking. I'm going to probably fly into Vegas and rent a car, and the conference is in Kanab, K-A-N-A-B, which is in over towards Moab. I think about halfway to Moab. But I might go down to northern Arizona too. I'm still debating on, you know, we don't even know if it's going to be virtual or not yet. So if they announce they're actually going to have it, then I would like to go down and spend a week, maybe go down to northern Arizona or somewhere in that area.
So I'm sorry, the area I was talking about was around Moab.
It's Dead Horse Park, or Dead Horse State Park, I think.
That might be. I know there's another place called Goblin Valley in Utah. I don't know if it's a state park but it's called Goblin Valley, and there are people in stone, you know, not carved, they're natural. Very interesting place. Anybody, Brian, have you seen that, Goblin Valley? Yes, it's interesting. Look for it.
We've had a couple of people chime in on the Q&A if you're following that. Rich Hawthorne said Navajo Valley is a great spot, and it's Coral Valley Sand Dune State Park in Utah, if that's maybe the state park that you were thinking of.
You might also contact somebody in PSA. I think there's a travel advisor, and I emailed with him last year because we were going to Arizona, and he gave me names of several different people, and I contacted them, and they gave me all different information. It was great.
Yeah, that sometimes can be a good resource. I do a lot just with searching on Google, hitting the state. I generally research all the state parks or state and national parks before I go somewhere to see what might be good to photograph. Even Google Earth works sort of nice to be able to search around the state and see what might work and what times might be good for shooting sunrises, sunsets, and some of that. But I haven't been to Utah if at all. I've gone and left from Vegas and driven different spots, but so hopefully that gives you some suggestions, ways to get started.
I was going to say, I made one trip there several years ago, and I flew into Las Vegas. Then I drove to Zion. That was in June, so I was able to walk in the Virgin River. So you need a wet bag if you do that, but in winter, I don't think you would need to. And then I did Bryce Canyon, which I absolutely love. They have several different viewpoints there that are all excellent. Then I went to Antelope Canyon, and then I went to the south side of the Grand Canyon, and then I drove back to Las Vegas from there. And it was just a week trip, but it was very nice.
I think Antelope Canyon has now, last year or the year before, you're not allowed to bring tripods in anymore, I believe. They've kind of shut it down to photographers.
I don't know when.
Yeah, I thought I heard something like that.
Oh, yeah, there were like you had to have a permit to go in and stuff. I got distracted because I lost some visibility here, but don't ignore Bryce and Zion. Bryce is a marvel, and the closer you get to the stuff, the more you're amazed, and the further you stand back, the more you're amazed. And Zion, I just rediscovered how much there was there this time. So don't discount the big places. Can I get my picture back? What did I do?
Try clicking on where the video camera is in the lower left. You must have maybe, when you unmuted, you may have, there you go.
Now you're
Okay.
muted though.
Audrey, you're
too many-
muted.
Muted, rather.
Yeah.
Right. I forget to put my finger on there. And I don't like
Yep.
keeping myself on all the time.
Yep.
Thanks, Jeff.
No problem. Okay, well, let's see, move on here. Okay, I got just more comments in the Q&A with the computer bit. And I'll agree that a PC or an Apple computer generally is good for heavy work for Photoshop, Lightroom, and that for probably 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Although the computer that I replaced was 4 years old and it was starting to run a little slow, although I do have an 8-year-old Mac that is still actually, with upgrades to the hard drive, running pretty good. But generally, I suggest people, especially if you're doing Photoshop these days, change computers out about every 3 or 4 years. And always buy the highest processor and at least a terabyte of SSD hard drive, and as much RAM as you can afford. Although these new M1s are running on 16 gigabyte RAM chips, so that's interesting.
Can I just say one thing when you're mentioning about different amounts of memory? I just heard a whole discussion about many of us put way too much on our desktops, and those, anything on your desktop, the system has to be aware of all the time. So if you have a messy desktop or you store a lot of things there, if you want to speed up your machine, get them off the desktops.
That's very, very true. Put them in a folder and put them on the hard drive itself, but don't let them float where you can see them, because especially if you've got photos and so on, because that was apparent many, many years ago as well already. So usually if I see people with, it's like, what have you got in there? Well, just the photos from everybody. Yeah, it's like put them someplace inside your hard drive where they then make them accessible. But the stuff on the desktop is definitely something that slows it down.
Do you know what?
Again,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, I'm finished.
I'm
Thank you.
just wondering if you know whether putting an alias instead of the actual folder is better or the same problem, because that's what I've done. Well, I read the same thing years back, and I've made aliases of the things that I get to all the time. And there are
yeah, that doesn't take up as much space, RAM space. If you ever saw when you see my desktop, you'll hardly see anything on my desktop except for maybe a current project. And nowadays, if I'm doing a lot of video editing, and all of that I keep stored off the main computer so that the computer can run the fastest. The only ones that tend to suck up a lot of power these days is Lightroom and Photoshop, unless you set Photoshop up to use a separate disk for storing when you run out of RAM. And it's amazing. I'm running a laptop with 32 gigabytes of RAM, and I've run out 3 times this year, and I've only had the computer 3 months. So and I don't keep anything on my desktop. It's clean compared to some people's desktops where they're really loaded.
I'll also mention that if you work in Lightroom, one of the things I've heard, they were just discussing that Lightroom becomes a memory hog if you use a lot of the different items that use a pin. So like if you're doing local adjustments and you have 100 different pins of local adjustment, those, each one takes up a certain amount of memory because that's all live memory. And there are ways of getting around that so you're not using as many. So maybe one day we can even talk about some of that, some ways of making that better. But that would be one way also to keep the memory usage down if you don't use a tremendous amount of local adjustments.
Right. Yeah, it may be a good discussion to get into because best operating practices when you're doing Photoshop or some of these other programs, because these programs are starting to suck up a lot of memory. That's part of the reason I like SSD drives, because I can at least use part of it for overflow for when I do run out of my 32 gigabytes. And especially when you're doing video, it seems you go through memory really quick. But no, great. I have one other person that suggested Cedar Breaks National Monument in Utah is a good place to go for the person that's traveling to Utah. So you might check that out. There's a link in the Q&A that you can check. It's in Cedar City, I believe, from what I can read. Also, Navajo Valley is a good spot, just to get that caught up on some of these that, so I can clear them out. Let me get cleaned up here. Yeah, and I got one person that mentioned, yeah, the graphic card memory. That's also one that you want to, when you buy a new computer, you want to look at the graphic card memory size, because Photoshop and these are using the graphic memory quite a bit. And that's why this new M1 chip is sort of interesting, because it's all integrated into one chip and is able to run so much quicker and run the processes so much faster. So
There's also talk with the M1 that you might be able to actually run some Windows native programs on it down the road too. So that remains to be seen what comes of that.
yeah, although you won't be able to boot to it like the Intel chips and boot Windows on a separate partition. That's gonna frustrate a bunch of people. But I hear Parallels already has created a Windows program so that you can run Windows on the Mac, and it's supposed to run as fast as a regular Intel machine. So that could be interesting. We'll have to see. I use a different one. I use the other one from Parallels, but I haven't run Windows for a long time. Let's see. It looks like we're sort of got caught up on the questions. I do have a poll that I wanted to run quick, just to see the operating systems and whether you're using a desktop or a laptop or both. So if we could just run this, just so I can get a better idea where we're at for operating systems. And then whether you're using a desktop or a laptop, because I've had a number of people asking me whether they should get a desktop or a laptop or both.
You don't
So
have,
that could,
you don't have Big Sur on there. I'm already.
no, because I actually created this before Big Sur came out. I didn't know they were going to bring it out quite so soon.
You're forgiven.
So,
but I don't know how to answer, so that, you know, you'll have a few of us who are using Big Sur.
okay, yeah, I'll have to, next time I can run this, I'm going to have to ask, because at the time I put this poll together beginning of the month, Catalina was just the latest one. Then they surprised me a week ago and brought out Big Sur. So how many are on Big Sur right now? Anybody in the group?
I am.
Okay. Is it running okay for everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it runs great. The only thing I found is that my McAfee firewall doesn't work. And McAfee has noted it and said they're working on the problem.
And I ran into one Luminar issue and I emailed them, but it was solved within a couple days. So other than that, I haven't had any issues.
Okay. Because I'm looking to upgrade, but I'm a little chicken only because I have about 8 programs right now that won't work on Big Sur. So I'm not upgrading yet. And I hope they're slowly starting to get them so that they can be upgraded. Okay. Looks
That's
like we
always the
got just.
problem with any kind of upgrades. You start losing things that you used to use. I'll just mention, and I don't know if this is an issue with Big Sur, but I just noticed this over the holidays now. The DxO and Nix software is all 50% off for anybody who wants to do that. And I notice a lot of people like Nick 3, so I bought that. But I don't know if Nick 3 would work on Big Sur.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I haven't looked to see. I would think it's gonna be. If it isn't right now, I would think it will be. Yeah, I've been tempted to get the Nick. I just haven't been using it as much lately, so I haven't upgraded. And their upgrade price was a little hefty. I see now, yeah, with this weekend, it's got me tempted.
Yeah, as I say, those are the cheapest prices I've ever seen in the last year. So
Yeah.
if you were interested, that's not a bad idea to look at what they're doing.
Yep.
Talking about discounts, Topaz is also offering a Black Friday discount over the weekend for 68% off their toolkit. So if anyone's interested.
Yeah, the Topaz deal is a nice deal, especially if there's a bunch of programs you don't have. You can fill out that whole thing for quite a good price. So, yeah, anybody else hear of any good Black Friday deals? I know I just ordered a couple solid-state hard drives from OWC. They had 1 terabyte SSD drives for $100, and then I ended up you could spend anywhere from $8 to $40 on an enclosure. So for I spent for the faster enclosure, $40, and so for $140, I got a 1 terabyte SSD drive. That's really fast. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, Jeff, there's a lot of software, good Black Friday deals. One that I picked up, I wanted to kind of get into Photoshop a little bit more, do some updates. And anyway, Matt Kay has his PS 101 course, half price. At least he did a couple days ago normally it's $199. He had it on sale for $99. And it's really well done. It's the best Photoshop class course I've ever taken. So he breaks it up into short segments. He said he spent a lot of time outlining Photoshop based on his experience. And so he's broken it into about 8, 9 different modules. And within those modules, they're like videos that run 3 to 5 minutes on specific things like layers, adjustments and things like that. It's really well done. He did, to my mind, it's the best one I've ever seen. Very, very recommended.
Matt Klaskowski is such an expert on teaching Photoshop and Lightroom. All of his courses I always have found to be very educational and good. So, yeah, he's definitely one, and he runs specials periodically. Yeah, I haven't seen what he's running today. Yeah, Marty.
So to answer a question from the Q&A, Joe said he had conflict running with Zoom on Big Sur, working with Safari. I guess when I first loaded Zoom on Big Sur, I did have to upgrade Zoom to, I think it's 5.4 or something like that. So it might just be the fact that whatever client version you had of Zoom may not be up to date for Big Sur. You might just have to look at updating your Zoom client.
Right. And I recommend that you download the Zoom app and not use the web browser at all.
Yeah, and that's been some other issues. Sounds like Cigna's been having some issues with that. And that's a good point. The client seems to be much more effective than running it through the web browser.
Yep. So download the Zoom app. If it's on your iPhone, iPad, on the computer, it works a lot better than the web browser part. Because I've been using the Zoom app ever since we got started because I just found that it works easier. You do have to go through a little bit more work when you want to share your screen with the Zoom app to get permissions on Apple, but once you have it, it works pretty well. So any other deals or things you've seen for this weekend to buy?
I thought I did see something on On1 Photo Raw for $69, normally $99. I don't know if you were already a user or if that was open to everybody, but I did see something on that. Jim's shaking his head. Yeah, so he must have seen that too.
Yeah, that's an upgrade price. That's $69.
It is an upgrade. Okay.
Yeah. I'm having a hard time keeping up with all of them with the prices. I used to watch it pretty often, and I upgrade all the time. So sometimes that's where I like the subscription. And On1 does have a thing where I believe you can join their group, and so every time they upgrade, you get the upgrade automatically. But it is a $125 a year subscription, but you do get a bunch of videos and instructions and that. And I see Luminaires started something like that as well.
Luminaires,
So
I have the subscription to On1, and yeah, it was $129 a year, but there's every month there's videos and Q&As and stuff like that. And then when there's a new upgrade that comes out, I do get it. So, I mean, if you consider that if I would have to upgrade for $69 or pay $129 just to have the whole thing, I decided it was worth it for me.
I have the whole thing as well, because it's not just the videos, but every month you get downloads with like overlays and textures and all that kind of stuff as well.
That's true.
Yep. So that's always works pretty well. So it ends up being a subscription price no matter how you figure it out. One thing that I was going to mention to everybody, because I've been buying a lot of external hard drives lately, when you buy the Costco Seagate hard drives, all of them come with 2 months of free Adobe Creative Cloud for Photoshop and Lightroom. And I found you can keep adding on to your subscription. So when you do buy a Seagate hard drive, I just bought a couple 8 terabytes and a 5 terabyte portable and a 2 terabyte portable, and that got me, now I've got Photoshop for 2 extra computers for another 8 months, and it's sort of nice not paying that $16 a month, because I have a Windows computer that I needed I ran out of subscription space. So this is one way that if you need to upgrade drives, the Costco drives or the Seagate drives, they're including that extra Photoshop. Yeah, Dreama.
Jeffrey, I cringe a little bit when you say that because I stay away from Seagate drives personally. I've had 3 or 4 of them, and every one of them have gone out after a year or two. And I've also had that problem with Buffalo drives, and I've stayed with Western Digital for the last 7 or 8 years, and the only time I've had one go out is when I connected it wrong and burned it out. So I hate to promote one brand over another, but I've had a lot of trouble with Seagate.
Yeah, I'm running 16 Seagate drives right now, and they all last me at least 3 years, or more. Jim.
Yeah, you know, when we're all talking about this, I just heard Jared Platt mention something that I had not thought of for backups and doing other kinds of things. And I think this is really a good suggestion. That is to buy one of these, to buy bare drives. You know, that's just the standard drive that you normally would see in your computer for people who don't you normally go out and buy bare drives, but they're just the standard ones that go into your computer, or let's say in a RAID or something like that. But you, instead of doing that, you buy just one of these little plug-in modules where you just slide your drive into it and then it's read. Now, the reason for doing that is that if you use a RAID or you use some other system that you back your stuff up on, and that system goes down, let's say the actual system goes down, not just a drive, you might have a great deal of trouble getting your data back because the system might be unique. And so then you wouldn't be able to get it back. Or if you go over to, let's say you were saying Costco, you buy a self-contained little drive unit. If that unit goes bad, you might lose all your data because you'd have to send it somewhere for them to read that information. But if you have a bare drive, that bare drive can be slid into one of these little modules that are like $49, and you can read it anywhere because it's just a standard drive running like a standard drive on your computer system. So I was thinking of buying like a 16 gigabyte or terabyte hard drive, backing up everything onto that. That can be done now for about $300 or $350. And then that drive you would keep putting away somewhere like into a safe or whatever. So it's away from your regular computers, or if there were a fire, it's separated. But then you have a standard drive that if something goes wrong, you could plug it into anything and you can get all your data back again. And that's kind of a new way of doing it. And I had not thought of that before. And it's much cheaper than buying a RAID. I mean, you could even buy 2 standard drives and basically back them up that way, and have double your data always backed up. It's a smart thing to do. So anyway, maybe one day we can talk about doing something like that as another alternative to backing up your data.
I
I
have one
about.
Right.
Also, and that works very well.
Yeah, I use this. Oh, wrong way. I know the camera's having a hard time focusing it, but you drop your drives in here, either the small one or the big one, and then it plugs into your computer, and you're able. That's how I do my third set of backups, is with a raw drive generally. Or if I have somebody that has like a Seagate drive or a Western Digital drive go bad, most of the time when they go bad, it's the power supply or the interface from where the power plugs in or the USB port plugs in to the hard drive. I've gotten very good at ripping Seagate drives apart because they're great to put into RAID drives because they're inexpensive. They work pretty well, at least for me. And everybody has problems now. Seagate does offer 2-year warranty. And I run Western Digital too. I must have 5 or 6 Western Digitals. So both of them have pretty good warranties. Seagate has a nice one where while they're under warranty, if they do go bad, you can send them in and they'll recover the data off the drive and send you back the drive. I believe Western Digital probably does something the same way. But yeah, there's 2 brands out, well, 3 brands out there pretty much: Toshiba, Western Digital, and Seagate.
You can throw in LeSay. I mean, I've had really good luck with LeSay drives over the years too. So I mean, there's going back to Drano's comment. I mean, to tout one brand over the other. I mean, there's just a lot of good drives out there. There's a lot of bad ones too, but
well, I hate to tell you, but LeSay is owned by Seagate, and their Seagate drives.
And you know, SanDisk and Western Digital are one company, and pretty soon one company's going to own them all, so it doesn't matter. But
I have a question on portable charging devices. What would be a good one when we travel and so on, and I'm gone for the day, and if my computer, what would be a good portable charging device? I had an older one my daughter gave me that has 2 ports, but I'm looking now to get something maybe lighter weight. So does anybody have any ideas for portable charging devices?
You mean like a battery one or one to plug in?
Well, you plug it in and then it holds that charge and you can obviously take it. I'm not a technical person, but that's, you know, you plug it in, it creates something and then you take it with you and then you've got hours worth of charging capability. So I don't know what you call it. I just know sometimes it worked.
Are you talking about charging a phone or a computer? Because the phone
Both.
chargers you can.
No,
those
both.
you can.
Both.
Ralph, did you have one?
Yeah, I've got this one here. I don't know if you can see it. It's called Extreme. It's smaller than a deck of cards, and you can put it in any of your pockets. It seems to work very well. I bought it at I think I bought it at Home Depot. If not, I can look it up.
Okay.
Yeah. But I had another one that you plug into the wall I've used for years, and I lost it. I bought this one, and of course, then I found the other one. You know, that's how it works. But this is nice because it's smaller than the other one. You charge it by USB, so it's different than when you plug in a wall. But you know, you can get power supplies for that too. But I really like it because it's super small. I wear a blood glucose monitor, and sometimes when it gets low in power, you have to keep it within 10 feet of yourself, otherwise it doesn't take the readings. And I can walk around with this hooked to it in my pocket, and it's not too cumbersome.
Oh, okay.
I have one about that size that Ralph just showed. By the way, Ralph, I love your cat.
Yeah.
And
you guys read that?
Now, yes.
Yeah.
No,
wait, if I pin it, we
but
can
Ellen,
probably.
just be aware, I kept mine in my car because it was USB. And I finally went. I haven't had to use it, but a couple hot summers, and it was just not in good shape. So keep that in mind.
I would take it with me.
I have one. It says La Touch on it, and I bought it not just for the charging, but it gets hot. And when I went to Antarctica, it claims that it's a hand warmer, and so it looks like it's backwards. It's a hand warmer, so I put it in my gloves when I was in Antarctica, and it was charged. The time that I used it on my phone, it didn't charge it completely. It charged it about 3/4 of the way.
Okay.
I'm looking mostly, I think, for iPad charging is probably what I would say the most, because you can go through that pretty fast. So
yeah, there are a lot of different batteries out there. I use a couple of Anker, ANKER battery packs that are a little bigger in size, because I need to sometimes run the camera at night to charge up, to keep the camera going when I'm doing long exposure Milky Way shots or star shots. One interesting one I found is from DeWalt. There's an adapter you can get. These are the battery packs for DeWalt power tools, and they make for $40 a adapter that just slides on top and gives you 2 USB ports. This is a 2 amp hour 20 volt battery, and I found I can run my camera for 2 solid hours with this small battery, and I've got a ton of these batteries because I use all DeWalt tools, and it really works nice for charging. Actually, I use it to run the battery on the camera that I have next to me when I'm doing certain video teaching, and I can get the bigger ones that go all the way up to 5 or 6 amp hours, which would last me probably the whole day. And this is at least putting a battery to use that I have plenty of, and I can use it with my power tools as well.
Well, if I ever carry power tools, great, but mostly it's my
Yeah.
iPad, but that seems
Well,
like a plan.
The nice part is it's not all that big. I mean, it's
Yeah.
the battery is pretty small and it lasts quite a long time.
Good.
I mean, it doesn't fit in your pocket like some of the other ones, but if you're looking to charge up an iPad, this is going to charge up an iPad 3 or 4 times. I haven't tried to see how it will do running a computer yet. Because I'd love to find if this works to keep a computer running for or recharge a computer, it'd be great because I got some of their bigger ones as well.
I think I'll research the DeWalt. Thank you.
Yeah, especially if you have a DeWalt tools, what the heck?
Does it take the 4 amp hour one too? The 4 amp hour battery?
Yeah, it'll actually take the 4 amp or any of the batteries. Any of the flex volt or 20 volt battery packs it can take. So,
hey, Jeff, that'd be a good
Tony.
add-on for Think Tank someday on their belt system. That gadget for hanging your DeWalt batteries from there.
There you go. Yeah, Tony, what are you showing?
I just got this email of Topaz, their Black Friday sale.
Okay.
It's, I guess it's not coming through very clear, but
it's 68% off.
Yeah, and it says it's a Topaz suite for 68% off, only available for Black Friday, but I just got it, and so I don't know if anyone wants to check on the Topaz suite. Maybe now is a good time to see if you can get it.
Yep. Yeah, I believe that's going till the 30th. So
It kind of stretched the truth a little bit.
Yeah. And I don't know if anyone's noticed, but there are a couple mattress sales. You know how rare those are.
Yeah, some of the sales I don't know. I don't buy a whole lot. Like I said, so far all I've bought is a couple of hard drives, but and I like the OWC solid state hard drives. So should take a look. Let's see. We have okay. Artbeat Studio is having a Black Friday sale for photo printing. Newegg has Adobe Elements for $69.99 with a coupon.
Is that the subscription?
Adobe Elements, I believe that's not subscription yet. That's just you're buying a standalone product.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we are. Gary Edwards says we're talking about power banks. Yes, that's really what they'd be called. There's a lot of them. Like I said, I like the Anchor ones. They've been pretty good. But there are many USB power banks out there. If you hit Amazon, you'll find a lot. Trying to see. One of these days we will do a talk on Topaz Labs. There's a lot of different stuff that Topaz makes. It's pretty good. I use their one for denoise is really nice, and their gigapixel for enlarging is good. Has anybody used their video one that Topaz has out? I know it's an expensive program. I keep trying to find somebody that has used it.
Ask Jerry Hug.
Okay, yeah. That'll be a whole nother topic too, is getting into video. I'm researching right now 2 different video programs, Final Cut Pro and DaVinci Resolve. for doing video editing for some of the classes that I'm putting together.
Jeff, have you looked at Vegas? Is that available?
Vegas doesn't run on Mac. So
I can give you a story about Vegas. I have been using it for a couple decades, and it was written by Sonic Forge or whatever outside Madison, and they sold it. Then Sony bought it, and they did nice upgrades and things, but Sony didn't promote it very well, and they sold it to a German company, and their upgrades to me are terrible. They're changing all of the language about how to save files and stuff. Used to be save this for the web or whatever. Now you'll save this in YMK, whatever, this and that. And their support, they don't answer the phone. And when you create a ticket, they answer you and close the ticket instead of, are you satisfied or anything? So I have up to Vegas 14, and 14, 13, 12 I can't use. It's not intuitive anymore. So I'm running back on Vegas 11.
I find that very surprising, Tony, because I'm on Vegas Platinum. I haven't gone up to Pro, but the Platinum interface looks exactly the same as what I've used over the years.
Yeah, the interface is similar, but when you get into rendering and stuff, I just don't understand it anymore. And
exactly the same. It hasn't changed. I don't know. They do make another video editing program. I forget what it's called. Maybe you accidentally switched over to the other one, which would be a completely different interface.
Yeah, I bet I use that one also when I want something quick and clean. But which version did you start with?
I've been using it for about 8 years when you talk about starting, so I can't.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And I'm just having a lot of trouble when it comes to rendering stuff, and it won't open Apple's Move files anymore. I have to use a third-party thing to open the Move files and then convert it to something before Vegas will import it.
That's strange. I've been using it once a week, for some months, and I have no problems.
Oh, I may have to call you then, because I just, well, they blacklisted me because I bought Vegas 12, I think it was, and it wouldn't run on my computer, and they wouldn't talk to me about a refund. So I had to go through my credit card agency to get the refunded because they blacklisted me because I didn't pay for it.
Well, Tony, the company that's selling it now is called Magix, M-A-G-I-X.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. They're in Germany.
Okay. That's weird. Our experiences are so different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll move on with that. But yes, sometimes you just end up having problems with it, and it's just a matter of finding somebody else that may have the solution. That's what I'm hoping this group can end up doing is, here you've got Brian maybe that's using it enough. Maybe he can help you figure out what's wrong.
This is real good. I will try to get your phone number and I don't know where I'd find it.
Well, you can email Brian. You probably have his email somewhere. Or we'll figure out a way.
I don't think I do, but
you
know what?
Well,
I'll get it from Ellen.
Yeah, we'll get it worked out.
Oops. Yeah, I have those.
So
yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
Chip.
Thank
you
you,
have
Brian.
something? Oh, you're muted, Chip. Chip, you're still muted.
Brian could
There you
send
go.
him a private chat message with his phone number.
Yeah, we'll get him. He's in our camera club, so we'll get them hooked up. We can get them hooked up pretty easy. But we'll be talking more about video stuff because I'm getting into that. And one nice thing that I did find right now, the basic version of DaVinci Resolve is free, and the upgrade just gets you more into the higher technical end of editing. So I'm working with Blackmagic's DaVinci Resolve, and it's a pretty interesting program, and the full version is $300. Same with Final Cut Pro, which I'm actually leaning towards that at $300, but it's a really nice editing program for video. So we're running a little over, so I'm gonna start talking a little bit more about On1 Photo Raw 2021. Anybody here in the group have the newest version?
I do.
See Tony does.
Yep.
I've been too afraid.
Yeah.
I probably
Okay.
do, but haven't really looked at it because there's so many other things to look at nowadays.
Well, you
Yeah,
have to go. I think you have to go get it, Ellen, because we have that thing through them. But I haven't gone to download it yet because I
Yeah,
just read
that's
about too many problems.
Yeah, well, that's probably true too, but like I said, I've been too busy trying to figure out how to turn off two-factor authentication in most instances.
I think I can help you with that.
No, I've done it.
Oh, you done it.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm a pro at it now.
All right.
Yeah, I do all my stuff as two-factor because I always have my phone with me, so. But, okay, so let me get all this stuff out of the way. See, and I have a fairly clean desk.
Yeah.
Well, except for I can get rid of the poll results. Yeah. So see, hardly anything on my desk. One lousy photo. Okay. But On1 Photo Raw 2021, I'm using it right now as a standalone program. Now, I gotta admit, this brand new version does seem to have a few kinks in it. It constantly seems like it's still trying to get caught up on the images that I've cataloged. I have a special hard drive that I use that I keep my teaching images on, that I use to demonstrate this, because I don't want to use my Lightroom catalog, because then it messes up the sync in Lightroom. So I've got a special separate catalog with about 100 images in it. And it's a pretty nice, it's relatively quick for looking at photos. Say if I wanted to look at the few in the EAA, you can go through them pretty quick. You can star them. You can favorite them. There's a lot of different ways. You get all the information on the image. So if you didn't want to use Lightroom, On1 Photo Raw 2021 is an alternative that you can use. Also, I can never let out Luminaire. Luminaire 4 is another good one for a standalone processing thing, which we'll talk about Luminar in one of our upcoming meetings as well, because I actually tend to use Luminar more for certain things and I use On1 Photo for certain things. So here is the basic catalog structure. You can pick what hard drive you want to be able to use. So I'm under my teaching one. If I go, you can see it has a number of different categories, which matches up to the categories when I step backwards. And let me just hide my... I know there's a way to hide my bar, and I'm trying to... There we go. Floating medium. So now I can see. So you can go backwards. It's got a little area here, so it goes back. And if I go into the teaching images, it shows you all the different folders. Or you can access them this way. The nice part too is you can just use it as a browser and browse any hard drive that you have. So if I go to my main photo archive one and get into where the photos actually are, not that, wrong one. There's my archive. So then you can get into your photos and you can actually look at it. Now it takes a while to build up previews and all that. So I'm just going to jump back to my catalogs and get back to that. But what I use On1 Photo Raw for more than anything is when I do portrait stuff, because they do have a pretty good portrait section. So if I go and pull, let's see, I think we'll use this gal here. If you double click on the image, you can look at it full size. You go over to the right side, you have edit. And then they do have an AI setting that will automatically adjust it. Now this one's been somewhat adjusted. Let's see if I reset all, let's see what happens. Here's the original one without any adjustments. So you can see it's a little dull. And if I hit the auto AI, it does a fairly nice job. On the left side, you do have cropping so that you can crop. And I'm just going to crop in and get this a little bit more to a better image. And then you just click apply. Now the nice part is all this stuff is non-destructive these days, so it makes it a lot easier. You can, like you saw me do, reset it. You've got all your standard adjustments here in the basic develop area. But what I use it for more than anything is the portrait AI, where it will find the person's face, and then you can adjust the brightness of just the face itself. You can actually slim the face down, so you've got quite a bit of control there. You can change the eye sizes for both the left and right eye. The part that I like is you can actually adjust the whitening and the detail in the eyes. Help get rid of dark circles if they had it. I should probably pull up my portrait because I always have dark circles under my eye. If you want to enhance the eyebrows, this one's sort of interesting that you can really control the eyebrows. And then you can whiten the teeth, the lips, change the brightness of the lips if you want, and even the hue. So it's really a nice one for if you're doing a lot of portraits and you need to do something in a hurry. This is what I use On1 Photo Raw for more than anything, is portraits.
Hey, Jeff, can I ask a question?
Sure.
The thing I can't find in On1 is where to go back to see from the very original image and then this one's like a before and after comparison. I thought I knew where that was in On1 and now I can't find it anymore.
Oh, that's a good question. It used to be up on
Yep, is it if you click on preview down on the bottom, toolbar there.
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah, I
keep-
Yeah,
tried that,
think-
but it didn't do the whole thing on my, see, it doesn't like show all the cropping and everything, but maybe it's just the editing. That's
No,
fine.
yeah, it's showing the adjustments. I can, when I click preview, it does get rid of the adjustments.
Right.
But yeah, I think you'd have to just uncrop and recrop
Right.
it again.
Okay.
And then they do have a nice retouch area that works pretty much so that if you wanted to get rid of blemishes, you can do that. You can adjust where it's grabbing the blemish area to replace it with. And then if you don't like what it's doing, you can hit delete and it gets rid of it. But so you can do retouching fairly quick with it. Just by, going through, clicking it. You can do masking. They do have a portrait AI that will help you retouch areas. Let's see. So some of this I haven't been playing with as much lately. Let's see if that should. Yeah, it's probably too big of an area. Should just be able to paint over it. The local is actually to make local adjustments where you want to just change contrast or something. It's basically like the adjustment brush in Photoshop, where you can control it and maybe soften it up if you wanted to get rid of some glare. So I use this for a lot of different things. So the portrait one works pretty nice. You have a good history section here. You do have layers. You can drop the opacity of the layer if you'd want to. If you had multiple layers, of course, with just the one, doesn't work.
Hey,
Now
Jeff,
they also hit, yep.
when you're looking at that history panel as you were, could you go back up there and see the original pre-cropped image? Does that
Yeah,
work?
that would, you're right. That would be, I can go back to where I reset everything.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
that would, yeah.
Good idea.
Just like
that's a good
history in
way.
Photoshop. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just make sure that if you like it, you go all the way back
There we go.
to wherever you left off.
You got it all. Okay, good.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Thanks, Brian. Didn't think of that. They also have nice presets. This is their black and white film one. But they have a ton of different presets with, different looks, the cinema look. If you get into any of that. Generally, when I'm doing portraits, I'm just doing a normal portrait. But sometimes this is nice to be able to give you different looks. About the only one that I generally use, because it's a nice quick way, is to get into black and white and have it look like the old black and white film days, which actually, where's my black and white? Here's the one that I always like, my plus X. But then it generally is, plus X had added quite a bit of contrast, so then you can go in there and, adjust the contrast down. And of course, fix some, I would probably open up the shadows a little bit more. And bring down the highlights. And adjust the midtones. So that works out pretty nice. Let me go back. So then when you're done, you just can click done. And it basically saves it this way, but like I did, I can go back into edit. And if I wanted to reset it, I can still reset and go back to the very beginning again. So,
Jeff, I have a question.
sure.
Is all the information embedded in the photo or is it in a sidecar file?
It's in a sidecar file for the raw images.
Okay, thank you.
So resetting all, you just lost everything, right, in your history?
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. As soon as you save it, it seems you lose the history. I wish they could keep the history.
Right.
So
do you know what the difference on the bottom was between reset all and just reset? Does reset do it step by step? We're kind of out of the panel now.
Yeah, let me go back and see. I wonder if I hit reset here. Well, it looks like
you might have to do a couple things.
Yeah, I'd have to do something. Let's do that and do that. And then if I hit reset, looks like it brings it back just to the very beginning. Reset all. Well, I wonder if, let me try this. If we crop it, I bet you the reset, yeah, the reset doesn't do the crop. Where reset all actually does the cropping too.
Okay.
So, gotta admit, I haven't used, the only reason I've been using reset all these days is because I want my images back to raw when I get done with them. So normally I don't touch that setting.
Well, Jeff, if you had saved that as an On1 file, and then reopened the On1 file, you'd have everything, wouldn't you?
Well, it saved it right now. The only way that I could save it more would be to export it out as a file.
No, but I think to Brian's point, though, Jeff, if you save it as an On1 file format, all those changes should be there to be able to go back in and edit any time. Much like Luminar, you can do the same thing there. You should be able to, because it's non-destructive, I think it's maintaining that information.
It should be maintained in the sidecar, wouldn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, try something quick and then do a save as, so you don't mess up your original one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So if I do that and we'll do this quick. Yeah, and then if I see, all you really have is you can export it. Because when you save it, see, if I hit done now, and go back, it's still the same raw file with just those adjustments in the sidecar. Now, if I would I can send it out to a lot of different things. I can add a JPEG to it if I wanted to. But
if we have time at the end, can you show how to set up a send to?
A send to.
Like, how do I get mine to send to something? Like, if I want to send it to Luminar. You know what I mean? Did you have to do something to get those in there populated as a send to?
No,
I don't know that
picked
Luminar
all the
is
different.
Okay, all right, that's good.
Yeah, I don't know that Luminar is going to be something you can send it to as a plugin, so to speak. So I think
it's not a plugin, but I think there's a way to set it up to do it.
Possibly, I'd be surprised, but possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you go select, that's fine. I'll Google it.
Let's see if I got Luminar in here. I know I got Luminar in here. If I send it to that,
It's going to be a flat file.
yeah, it's gonna be a Photoshop file with layers, but there's no layers in this, so it's a flat file. But it should, yeah, you can send it to Luminar if you want to. It looks like, because Luminar can read a PSD file.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I don't want your membership.
Well, that's disappointing in On1 if you can't save all that information.
Well, you can export it out. I don't know how long this is going to take to try that. I don't know what it's trying to do here.
It's just updating your catalog, it looks like.
Yeah. And I haven't run the catalog in a long time.
Sam, you might just want to force quit it.
Yeah. I can't figure out, oh, it's actually picking out the catalog that I've never run. Okay. Yeah, we're just going to quit that. See if we can quit it. All right. See what happens. Oh, man. Yeah, it's taken up a lot of space.
Well, then I guess I won't be trying that.
Well, no, I think you could try it. It's just that it's sitting on a catalog that I haven't updated with, and it has over 200,000 images in. So it's just right, it would take a long time. If I sent it to something else, like, you can go to color effects and all of these. I think it's just a matter that it looks like you can send it to Luminar. It's just got to make sure Luminar can read a PSD file, can't it, Marty?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as long as you send it as a file format that Luminar can read it, I would think it would work.
Well, try Luminar, yeah, and then have dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. Just make sure your Luminar catalog is up to date. And that's right now, for some reason, my Luminar is pointed at my full archive instead of my teaching archive. But yeah, you can send it like to Photoshop and all that, which is pretty nice. If you wanted to export it with all this stuff, you can export it out, and you've got a bunch of info here that you can actually do. And then, I mean, you can adjust the size and file type. So if you wanted to, I have it set to do Photoshop so that I can always work with it in Photoshop. And then I can just export it. And that would basically lock everything in. If you did multiple layers, you could edit multiple layers in Photoshop or in any other program, and probably bring it back in as well. So it does have its own weird limitations, but what I like is the people part. Now, let me go back and let's see. I had...
Jeff, at some point I have a question on the browse section. I used to be able to find the filters, but I don't know how to find the filters in the latest update. Like the filter on 3-star or filter on deleted or X'd out images. If you have a chance, would you show us that?
Yeah, let me see.
I can't find that anymore. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I gotta admit, some of this stuff, they keep moving it around.
while you're looking, I just opened one in Luminar and it went really fast. So
Okay.
in case anyone else was wondering.
Yeah. Yeah. That was more of my problem in that I hadn't opened Luminar in a catalog in a long time. Let's see, where did that go? You're right, Brian. I'm not sure where it actually went. It's not there. Not browse. See, I don't
What were you
normally
looking
use
for,
it
Brian?
to be able to filter out, say you wanted just your 4-star images or your 5-star images.
I had that problem with,
Anything under view?
Yeah, let's see once. I got the grid view. You've got the film strip view. You got the comparison view, I believe, if I had 2 of them picked.
Maybe up on top on the view?
Well,
Try
that's
clicking
where
on-
it used to be.
Try
Oh.
clicking on browse, Jeff. Maybe it opens up in browse rather than catalogs.
Well, that's the section I'm in.
Oh, it says my catalogs is highlighted.
Yeah.
Upper left, upper left.
In the old one, it
Upper
was
left.
under browse.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Go to
That could
browse.
be.
There's your advanced search. Keep going down.
further, further.
There,
we
click
go.
on
Try
that,
try
or
that.
show.
Oh, yeah, it
There you
looks like
go,
it is
okay.
there.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. See, this just forces me to get into it farther, because I don't normally use all this. I don't need to do the advanced search. So,
See, one thing I use it for is like a pre-filter prior to importing to Lightroom. I'll go through my images and it seems to run
okay.
faster here. And then I determine what I want to go to Lightroom and what not.
Ah, okay. Well,
So like use Mechanic, I think, for that, and I use On1.
Yeah, I used to use Mechanic. The problem is the new version of Mechanic is now $300, and my old version isn't compatible with the new operating system. So that I may end up starting to use this instead.
On1 works pretty good for that. Yeah.
Jeff,
Yeah,
can you open an image and go to edit?
Sure. Let me. I wanted to. I don't like this folder. Let me just find. I had. Where did my? Well, this one will work. And then edit. Yeah. What would you like me to do?
Nope. I just want to point out that where you it's not on this one. So where you had the AI auto,
Yep,
AI,
right
wherever
here.
it was. No, maybe it was over in the people one at first. There's a auto one, and then there was also just an AI something. And it was giving you 2 different options where you could look at. Boy, where did that go now?
Yeah.
So it was either how it looked like on the back of your camera versus just doing an auto. Oh, maybe because you're in JPEG. I bet you opened a JPEG.
That could be. Yeah. Let me go back here. Yeah, I think I was on JPEGs. Okay, let's just pick an airplane. Well, maybe it was. Portrait does have extra settings.
No, let me open mine again.
So let me go back to a portrait, and because I think with people, there was
No, it's under the tone.
here.
It
Okay,
was
under tone
well,
you
okay.
had AI match, and then you have AI auto.
Right. And that AI match, just if people were wondering, I think that's supposed to make it look how you saw it on the back of your camera when you were taking the picture.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of cool. And I actually have that outside of the portrait. I just open any picture and it's
Yeah.
there. So but that
could be
is
how,
kind of fun.
because I know the back of my camera is set for vivid mode, so my colors are always bright. Everybody knows I like bright colors. I generally do use AI auto, but yeah, that one really brought it warm. That's surprising. But then this is an old D3 camera, so it's a very old. But yeah, I forgot that they have the AI match, which matches the camera, and then you have a manual setting and tone. And you can see the difference from open to the different settings. Although I don't know if I would go quite that warm normally. That's more like what I would warm it up just a little bit. Which you do have your temperature controls here. So you can go to custom. Generally, I like to pick like daylight or cloudy. And then you can always warm it up more, but I wouldn't warm it up as high as it was going. So you got quite a bit of control. I like their retouching stuff. They also have good effects. And here's where you can add filters. And this is also if you wanted to convert to black and white. This gives you the standard black and white conversion with different color response. You can either use the mixer or regular. You have auto, which generally their auto stuff works pretty nice. I do go through and try to see what the different color filters will give you for results, and then fine tune it from there. And then you do have a bunch of these adjustments that can give you some special looks. But they all tend to need, depending on what you're doing, selenium tone will give it a nice tone to it. Generally, though, I go through these three colors, or you can use the slider, which actually works nice to try to find the right contrast for the color filter that you can use. And then again, you do have your tone adjustments in here, and you can stack filters one on top of the other. You can create layers up in here so that you could add a layer and add something else to it, like a sky or texture or something. Duplicate the layer, a fill layer. You can add a mask, which that you can then paint using your mask tool to paint in. So if I wanted to just say paint out the black and white, I can do that. I can invert it so that I could paint in black and white if I wanted to. So you've got quite a bit of control with On1. I gotta admit, the way I use it is I use it as a plugin with Lightroom, but you can use it as a standalone, just like Luminar or Lightroom. So you do have options to choose from. You do have text that you can add. the refine, the retouch stuff works pretty decent.
They also have a resize feature that is phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Jeff, going through this, you showed us one big difference between Photoshop and On1. The fact that Photoshop, you can save all your work, you close all that out, come back, and you can see everything that you've done in the past. You save it as a PSD, but here it tends to flatten everything, and you can't go back and tweak things, as I understand it.
Well, you can if you have layers. Right now, I've been doing everything just on the main layer. So, yeah, when you save it, you can't go back. But if you actually create multiple layers, it will save and you can come back to. So let's see if I
Okay, that's good to know. I didn't understand that. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So so if I create like a second layer, yeah, and it even says here that it will be saved as a new item. So let me add, let's see, I don't think I have, I guess I got to throw clouds or textures in here. Oh, yeah, here's my texture. Let's do that and add that as a layer. Oh. Come on. Go away. I didn't want to add text. But I can move this layer, transform it. And then if I see, should be able to.
If I think if you start painting, you'll reveal that again.
Let's see, I need to get to this mask.
There you go.
And there we go. Now if I paint, I'm revealing that layer. And of course there are ways to, pick it out. So now if I say done, here is the image, and it's now, it's a Photoshop. It should be a Photoshop image. And if I reopen this back up and go to edit, you'll see that I've got the layers that I can now get at again. So it's just that, yeah, when I was working on that one image, I was just working on one flat image.
My nails done.
So, what are we doing on time here? Oh, we're doing all right. Just was going to show
we're doing
some
okay. I don't know that I understand the concept of catalogs. I don't think I use them. Why would I want a catalog?
Well, the catalog will actually catalog all the information. With browse, you're just browsing you can browse the different hard drives. With a catalog, it actually saves that information and puts some of it, it creates the previews and saves the previews for you ahead of time.
Oh, is that
so,
okay? So you don't have to create those separately. I feel like in something, and maybe it's Luminar, you have to create a catalog. Because now I
Right.
look in On1, I have my catalogs and it's just what I brought in. So
Yeah, Luminar
Yeah.
does cataloging altogether different. It uses your
okay.
existing file structure, and interacts back and forth. But Luminar does actually create a background catalog. You just don't see it like you do in Luminar or in On1 or in Lightroom. No, it's a little different the way they work that.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm not sure what they all put into the catalog. I use it more as a browse, just to browse through the images. So I was never using the catalog, but you can create a specific catalog, which seems to then just show, I just cataloged these images so that it would just show up as that and not everything that's in that hard drive. Because if I go to browse and I go to teaching, you can see I have backup software, catalog to import, Lightroom catalog, and all sorts of stuff. And I really didn't need it to pay any attention to this stuff. So I cataloged just the teaching images so that it was just there. So you could do it either way. This just keeps track then of the images. And you can add more catalog folders and it will actually add a folder into the setup. I don't believe you get that in Browse. Yeah, see, Browse, you can't add another folder, where in the catalog you can. And when you do add the folder, say I wanted to add, I can bring in other folders. Say if I go here, my 2009 images, I can bring that into that catalog and it will make the previews in the standard size. And now I have, here's the teaching images and here's that one folder that I just brought in. So it's just a way to have them sort of closer, I believe.
All right. So this may be a dumb question, but if I'm going through and I'm looking at portraits and I want to start marking portraits for when we have a portrait category for Wacko, do I create a catalog folder or does that go into an album maybe down below? I don't know what an album is either. I'm pretty much just to move a couple sliders and I'm a done kind of person.
Yeah.
You're going to like Luminar AI. It's going to be awesome.
Well, I have the other Luminar, but.
Jeff, based on what you're doing, it almost looks like catalog folders is a little bit like collections in Lightroom.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't know what those were either, Brian.
Yeah. Here, because you do have albums that you can create, which would be like collections.
So that would be the way to go. And then I just move my pictures in
Right.
there.
Yeah. So say if you wanted to pick out, you know, this one, and say that one, I believe I can create an album saying airplanes and hit add selected items. And now if I click on that, there's your collection.
Yeah, so they're doing, that's collections in Lightroom. Yeah.
Yeah, this would be the same as collections in Lightroom. So I should probably research more of what the catalogs are. I don't use On1 for this kind of stuff because I do use it for Lightroom, so as a plugin. So
Jeff, I could be
I'm
wrong.
actually learning as we go here.
But when I look at, I don't use 2021 yet, but I've used 2020 and some of the others for a long time. I don't use their cataloging system, but I think catalog reads more metadata. So if you're in the browse, I think stars and maybe colors around the pictures show up. But I think when you get into catalogs, it can now research or search fields much wider than just those things. Like it can use keywords and a lot of other things that I don't know if you can do in browse.
Yeah, that could very well be. I got to admit, I don't use it this way, so
Yeah, I think Jim is right.
I'm
I think
not
like
sure.
all your FX data, your IPTC data, and all that gets embedded, and then you can view that if you're using the catalog function.
Yeah. So I know I like the browse function, and I think I'm going to start using the browse function like Brian has talked about to speed my imports of images through Lightroom. Although Lightroom has gotten a lot faster over the last couple of years for me, but I got to say that On1 and Luminar browser is quicker yet. So when it comes to thousands of images, it may just be the way to go. And it doesn't disrupt anything because it's just referencing your hard drive. So that's the good part.
You know, Jeff, overall, On1 appears to be a hybrid between Lightroom and Photoshop.
Yeah, it's meant to compete.
Yeah, I mean,
as
both of them.
if
It combines elements of both of those. Yeah.
right. Yeah, it combined Photoshop and Lightroom into one basic giant program, which in some ways is nice because you don't have to leave from Lightroom to go into Photoshop. So it can be nice. I actually like Luminar better for replacing skies. Well, I was using Luminar to replace skies before Photoshop updated to its sky replacement because Luminar just did it so much nicer. You can do it in On1, but it's a lot harder in On1 to do.
One thing that surprised me with On1 was I didn't resubscribe, when I should have. So I reached the end of my subscription period. And the
Okay.
program was just wiped off my hard disk. It was like one day I'm looking for On1, I can't find it. And it turned out they deleted the whole program from my disk.
Well, that I didn't think happened. I thought when you bought it, you owned it.
Yeah.
And you just wouldn't get the updates.
Are you talking, Brian, when they did the 360, the On1 360? Is that what you did?
Well, the 2021, when I went to update to 2021 or whatever that was called, I was just before that. I finally went online and saw that I was at the end of my subscription period.
Yeah, On1 doesn't do subscription. They basically sell, well, they do a subscription.
Through the On1 360, but even then, I wouldn't think that they would be able to wipe it from your computer.
Yeah, I thought once you would have, like you had On1 Photo Raw 2020, once you bought that, or even a subscription thing, you had it. And if you stopped the subscription, which is a 1-year thing, you would just be set with 2020 or 2021, whichever year you
back.
stopped.
Yeah.
Because I can go back and I've got On1 Photo Raw 2019, 2018 that I could reload into other computers if I wanted to.
Yeah, I remember that used to be, but I don't know. I don't know, maybe I don't know if I accidentally came in the middle of the night and I was sleepwalking and deleted it.
Brian, I will just say that if you contact their service, their customer support, if you did own an older version of, let's say, 16, 17, 18, 19, whatever, they'll give you a link to re-download that program. You won't find it anywhere, but they will give you a link.
Now, I think, Jim, I can go online and I can see everything that I've purchased and I should be able to download it again.
Correct.
Right. As long as you get the key. Yeah.
There's a tremendous advantage to 2018. And I think I might have mentioned this here. I've had some kind of a running issue with working with On1. On1 used to play extremely well with Lightroom. So you could hand off a picture to Lightroom, make corrections, send it back to Lightroom. And if you realize you oversaturated a color or you did something that you wanted to change, you could send it back into your On1 and make the adjustments. But starting with 2019, they changed the file types. So when it moved it from Lightroom into On1 and then sent it back, all of those things you did were flattened into the picture and they don't come back again. So you would have to start over in order to actually re-edit that picture.
Yeah.
They tell me that cannot be fixed, and that's a real problem.
Yeah, you talked about that last month, Jim.
Right, and that's why I'm saying 2018 is a nice thing to have. But when you were asking what makes this program really good, the other thing I think I would mention is if you're not very good at Photoshop, changing colors or selectively doing many processes are extremely easy in On1 and very easy to learn. Where if you wanted to do the same thing in Photoshop, Photoshop is by far much more powerful than On1, but it requires a lot more learning curve than it would, for instance, in On1. You could do the same thing in On1 for most things very quickly, and they're very easy to understand why you would do that. So that's why On1 has some real advantages. I'll also say their sharpening is, from my point of view, much better than what I get in Lightroom and other places, because it's real easy to adjust fine details and medium details and gross details really quickly in On1.
Yeah. As Jeff is saying, now you can get it for 40% off.
Yep, Black Friday savings up to 40% off. And if you go sign into your account on On1 and go to your products page, here are all my products. Here's the 2021 upgrade. Here's the On1 Photo Raw 2020. Here's 2019.
Hey, Jeff, click on 2020. See if they offer you the opportunity to download. Go to view details. Can you download that?
Yep, right here, Mac OS or Window OS.
Yeah.
And it even shows me when I purchased it. And then if I need to reset the product keys. So if I wanted to download this one to a different computer, I can do that and then reset the product key, because you can run it on 2 computers. Some of their older ones, you can actually run it on more than 2 computers. I think that's on one. It could, yeah. I think
it was. I think there were some you can run up to 5 computers on.
Yeah, up to 5 on some of these older versions, and so and because I have their On1 Plus, that gives me all these different video libraries and courses and critiques and such that you can get, and then that also gives me constant upgrades, basically for the same sale price as if you bought it new. So you can save up to 40% off on On1.
Yeah, and they're not doing the On1 Plus memberships anymore. If you had it and you kept it going, you're grandfathered in, but they're not offering them anymore.
So to upgrade it, it's $69.99, or to buy it new, it's $69.99. And now it looks like they got the plug-in bundle, so if you just need it for plug-ins, for $59.99. So yeah, they keep switching around. Yeah, I was gonna get rid of my Plus account, and then I figured out that it was cheaper to keep the Plus account because I'm constantly upgrading to the newest version. If I decide to stop it, then I'd have to get out of the Plus account. But yeah, so it's costing me $125 a year, I believe, but it gets me both of these and a bunch of other things. So we'll see how long they offer that. And I'm not sure. I think it may even include a bunch of this stuff.
You can buy
Those are-
those separately, or those are all in the main software.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because the On1 Portrait AI, I almost thought about dropping everything because this is really the only thing I use A1 for. So On1. A1 is for my steaks. So yeah, Brian, so I would check and just see, which versions. You should have it all in your account settings.
Yeah, I forgot to check there, but I was updating anyway, so.
Yeah, and one thing I did notice is when you do update, you got to watch which checkboxes you check and don't check, because they can. There is a spot where when you update to 2021 that it will actually wipe out 2020, and I don't like to get rid of my older version right away because. In case the new version doesn't work right. So I believe right now I still have both versions. Yeah, I still have my 2020, my 2021, plus I have the separate AI 2021 portrait, which I'll probably keep going just because it's sort of nice to have that one.
So you've had no problem. I'm sorry, you probably said this earlier, but what version of Mac OS are you on?
I'm on Catalina.
And you've had no problems?
Nope.
With On1 2021?
Nope.
All right.
Well, I've had some problems with On1 freezing when I've done too many things.
Okay.
So, but Catalina, and I'm on the latest version, and it seems to be pretty solid. I'm too chicken to go to Big Sur, which is what this computer keeps wanting me to do.
All right.
So,
well, clearly I'm quarantined for a few weeks, so I think I'll be doing the upgrade in my free time. Give me something to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I was telling people don't upgrade to Big Sur right away. I always suggest waiting until it's gotten a couple of versions in before you upgrade. I'm not sure where Big Sur is yet. I have to recheck, but
they've had one upgrade since it released, but it's been pretty stable, I have to say.
Is it? That's good. I'm a little chicken yet, and especially since I got a couple of programs, Audio Hijack and Loopback are just becoming compatible, and I use those programs for a bunch of audio stuff. And I think I got a couple other programs that just aren't quite right. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer, and once I get my second computer back for repair, I'll probably try it on that one first as on my backup computer. So,
just for those, I noticed On1 also has an education discount if you're a teacher and stuff, or having .edu, which brings it down to $49 when I was looking at the website. So for anybody that might have an education address or in education, you can get even cheaper. So
yeah, definitely. If you're an educator, take advantage, because even Adobe gives you some great discounts. A lot of the programs give good educator discounts, and you might as well take advantage. Also, if I don't know if we have any college students listening at all, but for them too, it would be good. Brian, you a college student too yet?
Don't I wish? Good old days.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Those days are gone. Yeah, for me too.
Yeah.
God. I was an
I have none of
educator
that.
at one point, but those days are gone too.
Yeah.
If you take a class at your local community college, you're a college student, I have one from WCTC, Waukesha County, where I took photo classes. And so I was able to get discounts on Adobe and other software.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you can get lucky and do that. The hard part is if you're going to do it for anything commercial, then you have to get the full version license, but I don't think they check too hard. Well, it looks like we're running about 7 minutes over, but any other last minute things before we call it a day?
Just stay well, be safe.
Yeah.
Over and out.
We
Good
learned
session,
a lot.
Jeff. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
Jeff. This was very helpful.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
No problem.
Can I just
And don't
ask a
forget
question? If you're,
Sure.
I'm a member of Retzer Nature Camera Club. So if you're a member of that, somehow I got the invite to this organization. So if you're a member of that organization and they're a member of WACO, you can be in this organization or not?
Actually, for this group, the Digital Forum, anybody can be in this group. We're not limiting it just to WACO members. You saw Ralph was here for a while. I don't see him here right now. He's down in North Shore Camera Club in Illinois. We have a number of Illinois people that have found the link. Basically, I'm opening this up to anybody that wants to listen and watch. The links will be starting to be posted on the YouTube channel for anybody to sign up to join the group. We're just limited to 100 people can watch at a time, but you can also watch it on YouTube. So it's available there as well. So you don't even have to sign up for that. You just go to the WACO YouTube channel and you'll see the live stream.
Okay, thank you.
So
Lunchtime.
Lunch.
All right, bye everybody.
Time, everybody.
Lunch.
Bye.
Bye. Stay
Thank
safe.
you, everybody, for coming, and we'll see you right after Christmas. I hope everybody has a good Christmas, and we'll see you then.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Jeff, before you go, I wanted to ask you,
Yep.
I'm having a little bit of problems with my camera. It was flickering, and I'm also hearing crackling. I was wondering if you guys are hearing that too.
Not hearing crackling. You did have your sync was off, where your sound was coming ahead of your camera a little bit.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to purchase a new camera. I was looking for a good one, but it's hard. There's so many on Amazon that it's hard to find one that you can depend on being a good camera.
The Logitech 920 camera is a really good one for about $75. Logitech makes the best cameras, so I would go with those. I think, Ken, you're on the Logitech now, right?
Yeah, I think it's the 920. Was it is it a CS, I think?
C or an S or something like that. If you want a really good one, the Logitech Brio, but that's $200. It's a really good camera. Really high quality. You can zoom in with it. So it's actually can be worthwhile as well.
Yeah, okay.
But
I was looking on Amazon and the ratings, I didn't see any 5 ratings or close to 5 ratings on the Logitech, which surprised me because I had a Logitech quite a number of years ago.
Yeah,
but I might.
It's still the best. It's still the best one. I have one called, it's made by VDO, called a One SEE, and that ran $75. The part that I don't like about it is it's a really wide view, and I like them a little tighter. My camera, I'm actually using my Nikon Z6, so that's a pretty expensive webcam. And you need a bunch of equipment to be able to bring that in. But the Logitech, it has its own built-in mics, which I think that's what, Ken, you're using too, is the mic built in?
It's got the mics built in, and It looks like I've got the HD Pro webcam 920, C920.
Yeah. So that's the one I recommend. They make
Okay,
the
all
best
right.
quality. They have they have a good chip in it. It's a pretty decent camera.
Okay, all right. Yeah, this camera was a little cheapy one that I bought. Already it's starting to flicker again when I turned it on. And as you can see,
Yeah,
the
and-
light is a little harsh.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem. That's why I recommend the Logitech. All the other ones, you don't know what you're going to get. You may have to run a separate app to be able to control the coloring and everything with it, which gets to be a pain.
Yeah. Okay, thank
So-
you.
All right, no problem. So, all right. Thanks for coming, Roger. All right. Everybody's slowly leaving. So, all right, Ken. I got to figure out how to stop.
Oh, it's a C920S.